All right, so Mickey Fax was on Ray Daniel Presents That's Debatable. For those who don't know, Ray Daniels is like a music executive and he has a podcast and he has some interesting conversations around music and just different type of topics. He had on this particular episode Earn Your Leisure on there, and Mickey Fax was also on this particular episode, and they got into an interesting conversation about lyricism. During that conversation, Mickey Fax said that he would take Lupe Fiasco over Kendrick Lamar when it comes to straight pen.
Incredible lyricist and incredible MC. But I got Lupe ranked higher from a pen standpoint.
Shit. All right, I love Lupe. Food and Liquor is crazy. What's the second album? Because Superstar was on that.
The Cool.
The Cool was incredible. I love that album.
He could rap his ass off.
But at a certain point, I feel like the faucet got turned off.
I mean, you're talking about from a standpoint of potentially from a mainstream standpoint, but we talking about from the pen.
Lasers, right?
Yeah, I mean, Lasers was his most popular album. It's not his best album, but it's his most mainstream popular album. It sold the most.
He can really rap.
He can out-rap Kendrick today.
They not going for that shit.
I don't think it's insane. I don't think it's the same. For the record.
Now, this conversation isn't anything new, and it always surprises me how it pops back up and it caused such a stir. They've had this conversation about Lupe versus Kendrick, man, almost 10 years ago. They tried to roll it out again about 4 years ago, and then during the battle, because Lupe said some things that people took as if he was kind of being passive-aggressive towards Kendrick, they start to have that conversation again until Mickey Fax brought it up just recently. Now, the timing of him bringing it up, it was kind of interesting because the same time last week, you had will.i.am say that he feels Black Thought is 1 trillion times better than Jay-Z. So now we have this big conversation about lyricists.
Thought is 1 trillion times better than Jay-Z.
1 trillion?
Trillion.
What's your logic behind that?
Seeing Black Thought, what he's capable of just off the top. And yeah, Jay's off the top is dope too. Jay's dope, don't get me wrong.
No.
But Jay's already said everything that he's just regurgitating everything he's already said, including other rappers. When everything that Black Thought comes up with is like, wait, I never heard that one. Wow, you split that word up like that? And that's just my that's just me. Yeah. Now there's a lot of people that be like, what the fuck you know about hip hop, will.i.am? I don't give a fuck what you think. I just know what I think and what I in my head, top 5 MCs. It's always Biggie, Tupac, Nas, Jay. I'm like, KRS, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Nas, Black Thought.
That's a nice five. Yeah, that's a nice 5.
Fairmont.
Yeah.
There's another one like, what is that cadence? Like unheard of.
Yeah.
And yes, Jay-Z's awesome. I'm not taking away from his brilliance. I just don't think he's better than Black Thought.
Who's a better lyricist and everything. So being that I am a former student of Mickey Fax Pendulum Ink, I do have an interesting perspective on this. And I'm not surprised with Mickey Fax's thoughts and what he said, because I do have an insight from the school how they view lyricism. And I just want to say this. First of all, I don't like these type of conversations, although these aren't new conversations, because I feel like some people don't know what lyricism is. They will instantly go into defending their favorite artist, and then they start bringing up record sales and this, that, and the other. And when we're talking about strictly pen, record sales and everything really don't matter in a sense. We're talking about just basically putting words together, being poetic, and making you feel something, right? That's essentially what lyricism means. Now, a lot of people don't truly understand that, but also, too, when it comes to lyricism, a lot of people look at lyricism differently. So I just find it to be a very interesting conversation. He then began to talk about some things about Andre 3000, and that's when things start to get a little bit shaky. But I would just want to say this. First of all, being that I'm a student, I was a former student of Pendulum Ink, long live lyricism. I want to say this. Mickey Fax is not a hater. Mickey Fax is not a hater. He is just a person who's very passionate about hip hop. He's very passionate about the writers and how they're respected in hip hop. And if you know anything about Mickey Fax, you know that he basically came up during the blog era. He has songs with Drake and then with Kendrick. You know, he's rapped with both of them. He's highly respected as a songwriter. You know, he's a well-known industry ghostwriter. Who he writes for, we don't know. During the time I was in the program, he did win a Grammy because he co-wrote on Donda with the song with Kanye and Jay-Z. So Mickey Fax is legit. And on top of that, Mickey Fax got one of the best diss records in the last 10 years. You feel me? Outside the whole situation with Kendrick and Drake in 2020 during the pandemic, you feel me? Him and Royce got into it. And if you haven't heard Wraith, I highly recommend that you go listen to Wraith because Mickey Fax, my lord, he definitely demolished Royce the 5'9". They got into it. And he put out Wraith, and I was flabbergasted, highly impressed, and one of the best diss records, I'm telling you, within the last 10 years that you've heard, especially going at somebody like Royce, because Royce didn't even respond. I don't even think Royce knew how to respond to that. So definitely look that up. Now, Mickey Fax really does care about lyricism. He cares about the writers because he is a writer. And one thing that I did appreciate about being in Pendulum Ink was the fact that they were really about teaching you different styles and techniques to become a better writer. A lot of times, what I learned from that is as a writer, you do things, but you don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it. You kind of just learn by listening and then you trying out, but you don't really understand the literary device that you're using and why it's effective. So I love the way that Pendulum Ink was able to teach that, explain it, show you why you use it and why it's such effective when used properly. So Pendulum Ink is a dope program. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to take any type of creative lyrical writing more serious. I definitely recommend. Now, this is the thing. I have to be honest, Dean Fax. I have to be honest. It does come off with the way that he spoke about lyricism, almost too in the way the curriculum is taught. And now I was part of the first cohort. I'm not sure how things are now. I'm sure things are evolving and changing. It does come off as if lyricism is one way. I'm not gonna say that fully because they do appreciate different styles, you know what I mean? So, but it almost come off in that way, you know. And I think that's where a lot of people have issue with the comments that he made. Now, like I said, I don't think he's a hater. I think he's just a very passionate person. And I love that these conversations are being had. I just think that a lot of times people don't know how to handle these conversations, especially with fan bases, because, you know, you have stands on both sides and immediately you go into defense mode other than hearing. We're talking about like the top of the top when it comes to hip hop here. Like Lupe Fiasco is one of the greatest lyricists hip hop has ever seen. So is Kendrick Lamar. So now we splitting hairs at this point. We kind of like nitpicking. And I don't think there's really no right or wrong answer. I really don't. I think it really depends on what you value in lyricism. And that's my answer to this. Is Lupe Fiasco a better lyricist than Kendrick? Is Black Thought a better lyricist than Jay-Z? It depends on what you value in lyricism. For me, my GOAT is Nas. I don't think there's a better lyricist in hip hop history than Nas. Close, I'm going to put Kendrick right there, and because of the way that they both approach lyricism. Now, when you have somebody like a Lupe Fiasco, you know, he's one of those people that I will put in, you know, he's like a hybrid. He's had very high heights commercially in hip hop when it comes to just being a spitter. He was able to write records, get Grammys, Grammy nominated, have hit records, have anthems, able to cross over with being a super lyrical MC. You know, Lupe is a hybrid of a Jay-Z, of a Nas, of a Pharaoh Monch, Lupe, of a Pharaoh Monch, Chino XL, Cannabis. Like, you know, he comes from like a Mortal Technique, all of those underground type of MCs. He was able to do it and still get in a commercial reach and appeal from. You know, he wrote Touch the Sky for Kanye. You know what I mean? Featured on that. He wrote Black Skinheads for Kanye. So I don't want people to start to talk about Lupe in a way as if Lupe ain't him. Lupe is him, okay? I'm a big Lupe fan. Little known fact, me and my wife's third date was me taking her to a Lupe Fiasco concert. So Lupe is Lupe, okay? With labels, you know, they were trying to switch up their deal on him and he just wasn't having it. They kind of put Lasers on the shelf for a while, kind of stunting the momentum of the promotion of that album to the point where, you know, I was one of the people who was like, yo, free Lupe, you know what I'm saying? Put out Lasers. Lasers, you know, was more of his commercial approach to his career, and he had some hits off of that. But he also has what I love Lupe for is the very introspective, relatable, down to earth records. Like my favorite Lupe record is He Say She Say off of Food and Liquor. And it's a brilliant record because he's telling a story from the perspective of a son, and then he's telling a story from the perspective of a mother talking to a father, basically begging him to get involved in the life because the child is acting up in school, and he's basically saying like, I need you. But the brilliance of the writing of Lupe is that he spit the same verse twice by just changing small words here and there, and you understood that it was coming from the son and it was coming from the mother. Brilliant storytelling and writing in that sense. So Lupe is more of a lyricist who is thinking outside of the box. He's more of an abstract painter. He's more definitely technical. He's really into the literary devices that are being used. He's just really into the craft, the technicality of not only just rhyming, but how you rhyme, the things he's able to do within his verses, you know, beyond just the metaphors, similes, and double entendres. You know, he's talking about alliterations, just giving you more depth in the writing, right? He has those social conscious songs. You know, he had Dumb It Down off of The Cool, Bitch Bad off of Food and Liquor too. But then he also gives you those crossover pop records like Battle Scars, Show Goes On, Superstar. Those are like crossover pop anthems. And he rapping on those joints. He ain't dumbing down his stuff for that. Like he's definitely being a super lyrical MC. So, you know, Lupe is a very gifted MC, a very gifted writer. He's a very gifted artist. Now, over time, Lupe has definitely put himself more into one of those super lyrical miracle type of rappers. So I can understand how over the years people could feel like he fell off because he went more deeper down into the underground level of writing. But still and yet, I think he's had some very dope projects. You know, I own quite a few vinyls of Lupe. He's one of the artists that when I listen to him rap, he makes me want to rap. When I listen to him, I definitely want all of his vinyls in my catalog. He's one of those MCs that MCs study. And if we're being honest here, as a huge Kendrick fan as I am, and Kendrick is in my top 3 MCs of all time, Kendrick benefited from somebody like a Lupe Fiasco being able to get into the game, create a lane, get a foothold, and become massively successful at his height and peak. So Kendrick benefits from a Lupe Fiasco. Now, what I love about Kendrick is that Kendrick is doing things his own way. You know, Lupe Fiasco himself, last year, he did an interview with Curtis King, and around this time, this is when people kind of misconstrued some of the things he said. And he said that he felt like Kendrick was a better artist than him. He was a better storyteller than he is. He was able to be a little bit more innovative and creative with his concepts, and he's a more better technical performer. Now, what got people all twisted was at the same time he's saying that, he felt like Drake was a better rapper than him and Drake had better punchlines.
You've never seen me take it out of just, yo, I think that Drake, bar for bar, from what he's proven himself to do, I think Drake has better punchlines, but I also think that Kendrick is a better technical performer. I think Kendrick is a better artist. I think Kendrick's a better artist than me. I think Kendrick makes better songs. I think Kendrick makes this. You got all that on record if you want to hit.
I've heard that.
So it was just those type of comments that kind of threw everybody off, including myself as a big Lupe fan, because you would think Lupe would like somebody like a Kendrick who more comes from his tree of rhyming than a Drake. But, you know, everybody has their own personal taste, and we're not trying to get into the psychology of why people like who they like. I would just say this, that we can't disrespect each artist when it comes to these conversations, you know? I feel like sometimes people use these debates to nitpick at great artists to the point where we just kind of belittle or look down upon what they accomplished in their career only because certain fan bases don't like the other. And I just don't respect that. There's a lot of rappers that I technically might not listen to a lot or might not be able to relate to, but I can't take away from all that they done. It's like an Eminem. Like Eminem, to me, after he told his story, he kind of didn't become relatable to me. He never really was relatable to me because he was, you know, he was different. He was a white guy that came up in a trailer park who loved hip hop. I never lived in a trailer park or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I found his story to be very interesting. He's a beast of a technical writer. As an MC, he could go. You know, Eminem is Eminem, one of the best to ever do it. But then, you know, he got to a point where he just became what I call rap sensei mode, where he just rhyming to be rhyming. You know what I mean? I just kind of didn't relate to it anymore. But does that mean I take away from who Eminem is and his legacy and what he's built and how he became known as one of the best MCs of all time? No, you know, I'm not going to disrespect the man. And I feel like sometimes we have these conversations and that's what happened. Kendrick is Kendrick, man. At this point in Kendrick's career, he has proven himself. I've told you that I think Kendrick Lamar has been the best MC in the game since To Pimp a Butterfly. My personal opinion. Now, this is a reality of what I'm going to say here. There are a bunch of people who could out rap Kendrick, and there's probably some people who could out rap Lupe Fiasco. Like, if we get into the nitty gritty of rap and lyricism, and if you follow it on that type of level, you know, you got people like Pharoah Monch. Pharoah Monch is a monster. He is a beast. He is a dope artist. There's a Pharoah Monch vinyl that I'm trying to find to this day from the album Desire. Pharoah Monch, from when he was in his group to solo, he is what we call an alien. Cannabis was an alien. Chino XL was an alien. You got people like a Razcast, alien, Immortal Technique, ASAP Rock. Like, these are the type of MCs that they could out rap a lot of people. Black Thought is an alien. But then we have to show respect to hit makers. Jay-Z is definitely a hit maker, one of the greatest of all time. And he's not one of the greatest of all time just because he's a hit maker. He's one of the greatest of all time because he found a way to be an MC and still make hits. If you ever listen to Jay-Z talk, I think he did an interview on 60 Minutes some years ago, and they asked him what makes a great rapper a great rapper. And he sat there and broke down all the literary devices that you need to become a great writer. And he even said his advice would be to anybody who wants to be a great rapper is to read. This is what Jay-Z said, you know, in that interview, he was like, oh, you got to have metaphors, similes, double entendres, tell your story and still be able to relate to somebody, find a way to put it all together. That lets me know he understands the techniques. He understands the writing, the literary devices that it takes to be good. So he's not just making songs. He understands the psychology of what makes a good song a good song. And that's a gift. A lot of people don't have that. Kendrick Lamar is able to craft out, one of the reasons why I love Kendrick Lamar is that he was able to craft out a lane of his own by going completely left when everybody is going right, heading towards being really commercial, polished up. He's writing about different topics, making it very relatable, giving you hit records in the process of that. Kendrick Lamar is literally one of the greatest MCs of all time at a commercial level, at any level, in my personal opinion, because he figured it out in a way that we've never seen before. Mickey Fax alluded to it in the clip of how he has a discography that could only be compared to like a Tupac and a Kanye West. And Kanye West is a producer, so he understands sonically. And if we're being honest, Tupac wasn't as lyrical as Kendrick. If we're being even more honest, Tupac wasn't as lyrical as Biggie. But do you see the difference in what I'm saying? It depends on what you value in lyricism. I think Nas is the greatest MC of all time. That's my GOAT because I, for my taste, lean more towards the poetic style and imagery and storytelling that Nas brings to his music. that's what attracts me to Nas. I'm more of a Nas fan than I am a Jay-Z fan, but I definitely recognize what makes Jay-Z great. But Nas, for my taste, is my GOAT because I value his style of lyricism. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about what you value in lyricism. It's all about your particular preference and taste and what you value in lyricism. So there isn't a right or wrong answer. It's all about the listener and what you like and what you dislike. Lupe Fiasco, for some people, might be rapping a little bit too much and too well for some people to fully be engaged to a whole album nowadays. Although he had, like I said, the song with Trey Songz. He had Battle Scars, which is a huge song on Food and Liquor too. I just think, he has sometimes moments in his career where he's in rap sensei mode. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's still making good music. Samurai was a very dope album. I need to get that on vinyl. But Lupe Fiasco is a legend, a hip hop legend, one of the greatest writers and lyricists of our time. Look, my GOAT, Nas said himself on Drink Champs, is there any MC that reminds him of himself? He said Lupe Fiasco.
Have you ever seen somebody that remind you of you? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody bites your style and shit. But that you said, holy shit.
Lupe.
Lupe Fiasco?
Lupe Fiasco.
Reg Lupe or Caesar Lupe? Two different.
So we're not going to sit here and make it seem like Lupe Fiasco isn't worthy of the conversation. And we're not going to sit here and make it seem like it's not close when we're speaking about Kendrick Lamar. It's much closer than people want to give it credit for on both ends of the spectrum. It's like I said, it just depends on what do you value in lyricism. So that's my take on it. As a student who was a part of Pendulum Ink and what I see that they value in lyricism, I can definitely see why Mickey Fax said what he said. But Mickey Fax also said that he felt Kendrick was in his top 5, that Kendrick had one of the top 5 best debut albums of all time as well. That was in this conversation he had on That's Debatable on the Ray Daniels podcast.
Troy.
You got a good list, bro.
He has an incredible list.
And it's spread, and it shows that you're giving new niggas a chance because you got Doggy Style from what, 94?
Yeah, I got
to Kendrick.
93.
I got Doggy Style there.
Yeah.
This is not an order.
Yeah.
I got Doggy Style there. I got Kendrick there. I got Ready to Die there. I got, what were the other ones you said?
I had Illmatic.
Illmatic, absolutely.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
And Get Rich or Die Trying.
That's
That's actually my 5.
Let me hear it again.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Illmatic.
Doggy Style. Good Kid, Mad City, and Ready to Die.
So he understands and respects and holds Kendrick in high regard. So it just comes down to your preference, your taste, and what you value in lyricism. For me, do I think Black Thought is a trillion times better than Jay-Z? No. Do I think he's a better MC than Jay-Z? Yes. Is Jay-Z a great MC and one of the greatest of all time? Yes. Black Thought is in my top 5 list of greatest MCs of all time. So is Jay-Z. But with all that being said, y'all, I just wanted to drop in and give y'all my 2 cents on this. Please tell me in the comments what you think. I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Peace and blessings.